Hello everyone. So very exciting video today because I'm going to be doing the second video in my bookshelf spotlight series. So basically, if you don't know, this is where I go through individual bookshelves in depth, because when I film my updated bookshelf tour, it's more of like a here's the general vibe sort of thing. So this series basically allows me to highlight all the books on an individual shelf. So the first video in this series was me talking about the books on the top of my TBR, and now I'm going through my favorites shelf, which is obviously very exciting. So I get to talk about some of my all-time favorite books, and I've actually never filmed like an all-time favorite books video before, because when I would compile the list, it actually didn't feel that reflective of like me and my reading taste. But looking at this, I feel very happy sharing all of these, and I feel like it is reflective of me as a person and me and my reading taste. So very exciting video. Now I will say not all of my favorites are on this shelf because they kind of fit on other shelves. For example, Bunny is not on this shelf. If you don't know, Bunny is like my favorite book, and it has its own little bunny shelf. So yeah, Bunny is not on this shelf, but obviously that's a favorite. And I have some other favorites that are on like different shelves, but these are most of my all-time favorite books. So I just love having this shelf because it is pleasing to my eye to see so many books that I've loved all together. I also like to go to this shelf when I'm feeling like uninspired or down, and you know, like pick up a book and like flick to a tab, like a pink tab, which is something that I love, and it can make me feel happy and stuff. So it's just really nice to have this shelf. I've never had like a favorite shelf before, but when I reorganized my bookshelves, I decided to do this, and I'm so happy I did. And honestly, I think this will be a staple in my bookshelf organization process from now on, because it just brings me so much happiness. Before I go through all the books, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Casetify. And I love Casetify. They have amazing phone cases, but they also have other things like AirPod cases, iPad cases, drink bottles, so much more. I have some of their phone cases, and I've been using their phone cases for years. So I want to show you some of the ones that they recently sent me today. So this is the one that I'm currently wearing, and this is the one that I've been using the most. Oh, look at that pink against the color of my phone, which is a dark space gray. I just love it. It says nothing matters. So I actually designed this myself because you can do lots of customization on Casetify, which I love. And this is actually a quote from one of the books on my favorite shelf. And also I just need a Casetify case because I drop my phone quite often, and my phone is completely protected in the Casetify phone cases, so I don't have to stress about cracking my phone because it's safe in the little Casetify case. But yeah, if you go to Casetify, they have so many stunning designs to choose from. So they have lots of curated prints, but like I did, you can also customize your case. So you can choose the layout, the font, the colors. It's really fun to have a really customized case. So the other cases that they recently sent over, I have this one, which is a really cute cherub design. I'm a sucker for this kind of design. This is one of their curated prints. Then I have this, which is a customized one that says Chloe in a font that I really love, and obviously a really nice pink. And then I have this one, which has a really nice F. Scott Fitzgerald quote that I love. And I just love being able to switch out my cases depending on what I'm vibing, my outfit, all that. And like I said before, these cases are very protective. They actually offer drop protection at up to 9.8 feet, which is incredible. And I've definitely dropped my phone a fair few times with the Casetify case on, and my phone is completely intact. Amazing. Their cases also feature Defensify, which is an antimicrobial coating that kills 99% of bacteria, which is obviously amazing. And something even more amazing is their new Impact and Ultra Impact cases are actually made of 65% recycled materials and plant-based materials. So yeah, I'm obviously a huge fan of Casetify, and I have been for years, so definitely recommend them. So you can actually get 15% off your order if you go to casetify.com/bookswithchloe. So you can use the 15% off and get yourself a fun little gift, or you know, this is definitely a good gift for friends and family, especially the fact that you can customize them. Thank you so much to Casetify for sponsoring this video. Now let's get into the books. So the first one here is Starfish. And if you're curious why some books are facing outwards, it's just kind of the vibe that I'm feeling for this particular shelf. Like if I don't know, you just don't question it, like, you know, it's just what it is. So Starfish is basically a YA contemporary book following Kiko, who is biracial. She's Japanese and white, and she has a narcissistic parent. She is dealing with social anxiety and other mental health issues. It is just such an incredible book. One of the books that I recommend to like nearly everyone. Definitely look into the content warnings before picking it up because it is a very heavy book, but it just means the world to me because obviously I relate to the biracial aspect. There are actually so many aspects that I relate to in this book, and it just makes me feel so seen and really beautifully written. I love how Kiko's into art, so a lot of the time there's a description of what she draws, and she definitely uses art to communicate how she's feeling. And at the end of a lot of the chapters there is a description of what she's drawn, which is definitely relevant to what's just happened. So that's one of my favorite aspects too. But yeah, just incredible, so well written. Can't recommend it enough, and it definitely made me cry. So I think this will always remain a favorite. The next book is Fangs by Sarah Anderson, which is one of my favorite graphic novels. This is so fun, like so fun. It's definitely like a horror comedy vibe. Well, actually not even horror. It's just about like a vampire and a werewolf falling in love. I mean, it's just comedy. So yeah, it's basically about, like I said, a vampire and a werewolf who fall in love. And this is just pure happiness when I read it. If you love like vampires and werewolves and all that, you will most likely love this, because it definitely has lots of fun references to those classic tales that involve those creatures, and has lots of humor to do with it, and it's just so fun. You can read it in like half an hour. Also love, you know, the fun art style and just pure fun. That's what it is. That's what it is, and that's why I love it. Then we have Ariadne by Jennifer Saint, which is such a beautiful book. This is basically a Greek mythology retelling about Ariadne, who is definitely a forgotten woman in Greek mythology. And I'm not even... Oh my god, I thought I wasn't recording for a second. I actually was never really into Greek mythology because I wasn't really exposed to it, but I don't think you really need to know anything about Greek mythology to read this. It is basically about a woman who is stunning and who has to deal with all these disgusting men, and it's basically a celebration of women. So it highlights the struggles of being a woman, but also the beauty of it and the beauty of connections between women. So you know, I'm all about that. I love it. It's also just so well written, such beautiful descriptions. Also, you won't really hear me talking about the plot often, but this had a very interesting plot that had me hooked, and I was definitely like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? So this book is honestly the whole package in my opinion. It made me cry, it made me feel angry, it made me feel sane, and I just adore it. Okay, then we have Strange the Dreamer, of course. Now, this is not my copy that I've annotated. My copy that I've annotated is on a different shelf, but this is a paperback that a subscriber gave me. Yeah, obviously, Strange the Dreamer, if you've been watching my channel for a few years, then you know that this used to be my favorite book of all time. It's obviously not anymore, but it's definitely still a favorite, and I feel like will forever be a favorite because it's just such a beautiful story. It's basically about a lonely boy who finds his place in the world, finds his people, and I love stories about, you know, people finding their people and people finding their place. So yeah, a lonely boy who loves books and gets transported to this magical land. Like, amazing. So not only do I love the story, I love the characters, I love the relationship, really stunning romance, I love the world, I love the commentary, I love the writing. Like, I can't believe I've taken this long to talk about the writing, because Laini Taylor's writing is possibly my favorite writing style, because I just love the lyrical, dreamy beauty of it. Like, it is just delicious. She has the type of writing that some could describe as like overly descriptive, but I'm all about this descriptions. Like, give me the stunning descriptions of this magical place. So yeah, just wow, like talking about it definitely makes me want to reread it because it's been a while. This will forever have a place in my heart. Okay, then we have Yoke by Mary H.K. Choi. I love Mary H.K. Choi's books, and this is my favorite of hers. It is incredible. It's basically a contemporary about two sisters in their 20s. They're really not close at all. One of the sisters gets cancer, which brings the sisters together, and it is just such an amazing story about family, complex family relationships, just life. One of my favorite things about Mary H.K. Choi is she writes really raw and authentic characters that feel very human. So they're flawed, they make mistakes, and they just feel like completely fleshed out. And I have a sister who I absolutely love, so I love stories about sisters, even though their dynamic is very different to mine and my sisters. But also, I don't know if I even said they're Korean, which I obviously love. I love stories about Korean people because I'm Korean and I love seeing my culture represented, especially when it's a diaspora Korean experience, because I'm also a diaspora Korean. And Mary H.K. Choi just really gets it on so many levels, so cannot wait for her next book. Then we have a classic, which is The Little Prince, and this is my cute little copy. I really love this copy, even though I don't like how it has a different illustration. I like the original illustration of The Little Prince, but I really like this copy. It's really cute and small. And on the back it has one of my favorite quotes: "The most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or touched, they are only felt with the heart." And this has lots of my annotations, so when I want to flick to some of my favorite quotes and stuff, I can easily do so. And yeah, I just love this story. It basically reminds me to never forget my inner child, not grow up and become a, you know, weirdo normal SpongeBob. It obviously has beautiful messages on friendship, what's important in life, and I even have a Little Prince tattoo, if you didn't know. This is Never Forget, which is a Little Prince reference. So yeah, just love Little Prince. So of course it lives on this shelf. And then we have my favorite graphic novel, which is Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too, which is where this quote is from. Nothing matters. I don't want to fully explain this quote because you just need to read it to fully understand how amazing and impactful that quote really is, because it's not just as simple as like, oh, nothing matters. Like, you need to read it. But yeah, this basically follows a little alien who comes to Earth to learn about humans, and the alien encounters all these different creatures and asks them questions to, yeah, find out what it means to be human. The illustrations are very simple and the writing is not like correct because the alien doesn't know how to fully speak English and stuff, so it's like written in, you know, incorrect English. But that is definitely part of the charm of this book. I just cannot explain how much I love this book. Like, this feels like an absolute warm hug, especially when I'm feeling like down or lonely or sad, because it reminds me that those moments of feeling lonely or sad are important and there's actually beauty in those moments. And I just love it. I'm gonna read you some of my favorite quotes. "Everybody tells me I'm too small and too slow to make a difference in this world, but I am making a difference in my own world, and I hope that is enough. If you're always happy, are you ever truly happy, or is happiness only something we see in you because you know sadness?" I've read this 3 times and honestly I've been thinking about rereading it again. I feel like this is definitely going to be one of my most reread books because 1, it doesn't take that long, 2, it really is one of the only things that gives me like complete comfort when I need it. Yeah, these words just really touch me, and the story just, I love it so much. Okay, then we have a non-fiction book, which is Know My Name. Oh, I just realized another book is missing. I have attached usually on this shelf, but I was looking at it recently. If you're in my Patreon live show, you know. But that's next to my bed at the moment because I was annotating some passages. But yeah, attached is a non-fiction book about the different love attachment styles, so that's usually on the shelf as well. But yes, Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is the story of Chanel Miller, who is the survivor of the Stanford sexual assault case, and she basically talks about her experience dealing with that trauma and dealing with the justice system, which definitely has lots of flaws, and it's definitely very heartbreaking but also very insightful and hopeful, because Chanel Miller is just such an amazing, strong person, and she shares a lot of advice on how to deal with trauma, and she's just really, really inspiring. Like, I will never forget this reading experience. I actually listened to the audiobook, but I have this physical copy because I do want to eventually reread it and annotate it, but I highly recommend the audiobook. Yeah, just such an amazing and important story. Then we have the Song of Achilles, which is another Greek mythology retelling. This is obviously a very popular book, but if you don't know, this is a love story between Achilles and Patroclus, and it is just beautiful. Like, one of the most beautiful love stories and one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. I was screaming reading this book. Wow, just love them so much. We were like gods at the dawning of the world, and our joy was so bright we could see nothing else but the other. Obviously this is a heartbreaking book, but it's obviously so beautiful as well. Like, this story is obviously 5 out of 5 stars. And by the way, I just looked at my poetry shelf and I realized that's another thing. I don't have like any of my poetry faves on my favorite shelf because I like to keep all my poetry together. So I will definitely talk about some of my favorite poetry soon. But yeah, this is my poetry shelf. Anyway, yeah, just love Song of Achilles. It has all my fun annotations in it, so I love being able to flick through it quickly because I can just go in here and be like, okay, yep, what do I need today? Oh, wow. I feel like it's been so long since I've read a really nice love story. The happiness it brings me. I can recognize him from touch alone. Wow! Okay, that's enough of that book. Okay, then we have Gone Girl, which I have talked about a lot, I feel, so you probably know. Well, if you've been watching my channel. I absolutely adore this book. Definitely one of my favorites. I read it for the first time this year, actually. It was a lot. Like, it's definitely obviously an amazing book, but it also is a lot to read because it made me very like angry and defeated because the patriarchy is just so consuming and disgusting. But obviously an amazing story that highlights the issues in our patriarchal society, and I just love it. There's so many amazing insights. Obviously really interesting plot. It's a thriller if you didn't know. I'm sure you know, like everyone knows Gone Girl, but amazing book. The movie is also amazing, but the book has just like so much more that you can unpack, and I cannot wait to reread it because I feel like there's just so much in here. Like, you could write a million essays on this. As you can see, it's very annotated, one of my most annotated books. Then here we have Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is an amazing edition that Caitlin Bunny gave to me, so love her. Love this book, love this edition. This isn't the book that I read from originally. My original copy is on a different shelf, but this definitely had to have its display moment. This is the Faber Members edition, so I don't think you can get it anymore, but it's beautiful. Like, I love this cover. On the back it has one of my favorite quotes. I'm not a religious person, but I do sometimes think God made you for me. Obviously an iconic, amazing Normal People quote. Also, how fun is that? But yeah, Normal People by Sally Rooney. It's about Marianne and Connell. It's kind of a love story, but not really. It's basically about them coming together and being apart over like 10 plus years, I think. So they first start in high school. That's when they meet and, you know, start their relationship. And it basically just talks about life, love, capitalism, so many things. I just can't express how much I love this book. And I know it's not for everyone, but if it's for you, you will adore it. I feel like it's definitely one of these books that some people love and cry and be like, oh my god, this is amazing, and some others read it and they're like, and thankfully I'm one of the people who absolutely adore this book. This is definitely one of my like top favorite books of all time. And actually I can't wait to reread it. I just thought about that because I read it for the first time last year and I have never reread it, so maybe this year is a time for me to finally reread it. But yeah, this is the book that I've sobbed the most in because I just felt so seen, and Sally Rooney just is one of my favorite authors because she uses words to express thoughts that I've had for so long in such an articulate way, and it's definitely really like cathartic, and you can finally have that moment like, oh my god, exactly. If you watch my Normal People vlog, like, you know I love this. Like, it is amazing. Then we have The Book Thief, which is by Marcus Zusak, and I read this a few years ago. It's historical fiction. It's set in 1939 Nazi Germany, and once again a very popular story, but that is for a reason because it's so well written, so beautiful. It's basically told from the perspective of death, which is really interesting. And once again, when am I rereading this? Because it's been too long. I think I literally read it in like 2017 maybe, but it remains a favorite. It has definitely stuck with me. This is the anniversary edition. I actually have this copy on my shelf too. This is a copy that Kaz got signed for me, so I have a fun little personalized signed book, so of course that lives on my shelf too. But yes, such an amazing book. Okay, then we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Oh no, thank you. Okay, so then we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which is such a beautiful story. It's fantasy, it's a love story, it's a story about this magical circus that you need to be invited to, and it's only at night, and the circus arrives without warning, no announcements precede it. It's simply that, when yesterday it was not. The black sign painted in white letters that hangs upon the gates reads, opens at nightfall, closes at dawn. Just so magical. Like, this and Stranger Dreamer, two of the most magical stories I've ever read, I think. Erin Morgenstern's writing is exquisite, beautiful, luscious. It's definitely a slow story, like it's not really about the plot, I wouldn't say. But I'm all about a magical story with minimal plot and beautiful descriptions and a stunning romance and stunning quotes and beautiful characters, and that is what this book is. Yeah, I can't explain how much I love this book actually. Like, it's amazing. And this is definitely one of my favorite love stories actually. They just love each other and it's beautiful. And one of my all-time favorite quotes is from this book. You may tell a tale that takes up residence in someone's soul, becomes their blood and self and purpose. That tale will move them and drive them, and who knows what they might do because of it, because of your words. I actually have that quote in my Google Doc for writing because I've finally started to, you know, do some little writing here and there, and that quote definitely inspires me and I just love it. Like, so magical. Then we have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, which is another beautiful story. Like, beautiful. Also heartbreaking. It basically follows an abusive relationship. The main character is a bisexual vampire. So amazing. This book also explores polyamory and is just one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. Like, me and Caitlin read this together and I think we read the first page and we were like hyperventilating. Like, I've never experienced reading a book and being completely blown away by like the first page, because the writing was just like on another level. I'm actually just gonna read the first page because it's just a little paragraph. I never dreamed it would end like this, my lord. Your blood is splashing hot flecks onto my nightgown and pouring in rivulets onto our bedchamber floor. But creatures like us live a long time. There is no horror left in this world that can surprise me. Eventually, even your death becomes its own sort of inevitability. Wow! Yeah. So definitely a book I recommend if you love all the things that I just said. Yes, it is a lyrical and dreamy reimagining of Dracula's Brides indeed. A story of desire, obsession and emancipation. It's also not that long, so give it a go, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing. Okay, the last book on this shelf, My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This was one of the most unique reading experiences I've had. It was definitely very hard to read, but it remains a favorite. It's such a powerful story and a very needed story. It's basically a story about this teenage girl and this manipulative, disgusting teacher. So this book deals with a lot, so lots of content warnings. Yeah, it's basically about their relationship and it's told in 2 timelines. So it's told when she's a teenager and it's happening, and then there's the timeline 17 years later when she is like reflecting and realizing a lot of things about how inappropriate their relationship was and dealing with the trauma of it. So really love that structure and obviously love this story. Yeah, it definitely was hard to read. Like I said, I literally felt my chest was so tight the entire time reading it and I was on the verge of a panic attack because like it's just really hard to read and the topics that it deals with is very hard for me to read. Well, hard for anyone to read, but yeah, it's just incredible and I've never read anything like it. So yeah, definitely a favorite. Don't know if I'll reread it, maybe one day, but it's amazing. Okay, so that is my favorites shelf. So really hope you enjoyed this video. I really loved filming it because obviously I got to talk about some of my favorite books ever. So obviously recommend them, but yeah, all love you. Thank you so much once again to Casetify for sponsoring this video. If you want to get 15% off your order, you can go to casetify.com/bookswithchloe. If you're looking for more content from me, I have a Patreon, which is always linked below, and that is where I upload extra content, like extra reading vlogs, we do a monthly live show, we do a monthly buddy read, etc. I have all my socials linked below, including my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/gamewithchloe, and that is where I stream games and just chatting. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're all having a good day or night, and I'll see you in my next one.